Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is Gregg, Enterprise Software Analyst at Mizuho, America's Equity Research, to discuss DevOps, what it is and why it matters. Gregg, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks so much, Jill. It's great to be here.
Explain what DevOps is and what technologies are associated with it.
Sure. So what DevOps is, and we actually published a 60-plus page deep dive report just last month. It's the bringing together of two previously disparate IT groups, developers and IT operations staff. Now, developers, they write code, they build products. Operations staff are focused with performance and also uptime, or what's called availability of applications and other services. Now, the problem is that historically, these two groups have been operating in silos. And so there has been very little communication between them. And because of that, a lot of inefficiency. Now, in terms of the technologies that DevOps employs, I would say first and foremost, that would be public cloud, including containers, but also things like testing, things like monitoring, security, among others.
What trends in DevOps were accelerated due to COVID-19?
So we certainly have seen an acceleration. There's been increased interest from customers as it relates to DevOps. And it's pretty easy to understand why when you sort of dive in a little bit and you look at what DevOps can help with. So I talked about the breaking down of silos. That in and of itself, of course, fosters more collaboration. In addition, there's more agility. Companies can be more nimble with respect to their software development projects. There's also more automation. And last but not least, I would say the enablement of cloud. So obviously, cloud has a lot of positive underpinnings and very strong drivers in and of itself. We think DevOps sort of further helps to unlock more potential around cloud. And so the result of all of that, when you think about, again, what I just said, collaboration, agility, automation, cloud enablement, in this COVID-19 environment, it's very clear that those attributes matter more now than they ever have before.
Gregg, is it different than continuous delivery?
That's a great question. So continuous delivery does have some overlap with DevOps. And I will say there are different schools of thought around this. Our view of continuous delivery is it's really about the process, if you will, of speeding up software delivery, software product creation. Whereas DevOps is more of a methodology. It's a practice that is adopted by organizations. It's a cultural shift where, again, those silos are kind of breaking down, and that takes more buy-in. It can take some more time to cause that to change. Both of these are clearly important and very positive drivers for enterprises especially, but that would be the distinction that I would draw.
You believe DevOps has the potential to lead the way with next-gen app development. Tell us why.
I really do. And it comes down to what DevOps can do for organizations. So if you truly adopt it, you can fix issues more quickly, you can deliver software more reliably, and most importantly, you can do it far more rapidly than you could previously. And there was to that point, there was a survey that came out earlier this year by 451 Research, and they interviewed a few hundred organizations that had adopted a DevOps practice. What we found interesting was that 49% of them were delivering applications to a production environment that is a live environment, and they were doing that on a weekly basis or faster. Now, so that's an extremely rapid pace. And if I were to compare that with companies that have not embraced DevOps, or even with where the world was, say, 5 years ago, our estimate is that maybe 10% at most would be delivering on a cadence of a weekly basis or quicker. So a pretty remarkable acceleration. Again, that's kind of behind next-gen app development because of DevOps.
I would imagine there's cost savings associated with that as well.
Yeah, so that's exactly right, because all of that inefficiency that existed before, where you would have these handoffs from developers to operations and back, and the result was just a much lengthier process. So to your point, you're exactly right, Jill. You're seeing just significant cost savings with companies on a like-for-like basis that are using DevOps. I would also say it doesn't stop there, though, because when you think about, there's this oftentimes in sports, you'll kind of hear sometimes people will say speed kills as a positive attribute. In this case, speed and agility means more money. What I mean by that is if you are delivering software products more reliably, more successfully, and faster, you're going to see higher customer satisfaction. You're going to, in all likelihood, see greater new customer acquisition rates. And last but not least, if you look among your install base, to the extent that they're getting more value out of your platform and your products, and again, if you're delivering software faster, better, more reliable, that's going to happen. You're going to get a greater wallet share with those companies as well. And so there really are, we think, real positive top line benefits as well for companies that truly embrace DevOps.
So Gregg, one last question I want to throw at you. For a company that has not employed DevOps yet and they are looking to transition over, is that a heavy lift? Is there a lot of integration with legacy systems that needs to be made? Or is this something that is relatively seamless for companies to adopt? Is that a barrier to entry? Is that an issue at all?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. And it is not what I would call extremely quick and easy to adopt. It is a process. It really does employ or require a cultural shift. And so you need, typically from what we've seen, is you need buy-in from the top. So the C-level executives need to really champion this and work on kind of, again, breaking down these silos, because this is how enterprises have operated for years. This is how development teams and operations staff have functioned. And so it does require, real change. And it's not something where you can just check the box and you start to see significant results. You really do need, that multiple groups to really embrace it. And again, particularly from the top down. When that happens though, and again, this can take some time, but the results and benefits can be so substantial that, we certainly do recommend, again, particularly enterprises, that they, really revisit the way that they're developing if they are still sort of stuck with these, kind of more legacy methods, if you will.
Gregg, appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks.
My pleasure. Thanks so much, Jill.
You got it. Thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.